All right, I was wrong about these cryptos urgent alert, or was I? Let's see here. This is NC Hammer Crypto. My name's Neil, and we keep technical analysis short and sweet. Digging into Bitcoin, which is going to be moving the market one way or the other, is just a fact. But we can see that this black trend line is holding a little bit of support. And when we actually look at a different pattern, instead of inverse head and shoulders, Fibonacci retracement, this orange line is showing a little bit of support. But if we get rid of this, we could consider this a potential diamond pattern. And diamond patterns have a tendency to typically retrace to a certain area. So let's say we take the bottom of this pattern to the top, and we take that. When it breaks out, we can potentially be seeing a 10%, 11% increase for the first step on Bitcoin. However, keeping that in mind, if we are taking the exact same range from the top to the bottom, if this does not hold, we could be pushing down that 10 to 11% if this trend line breaks. So it's kind of a 50-50 right here. However, the pattern, I do want to show you something similar. I can't do side-by-side screen. I know it messes with it. Oh, damn it. I just deleted it. Let's go to diamond pattern formation images. When we're looking at diamond patterns, this one specifically is very similar setup to what Bitcoin is looking like it's doing. This is a good idea of looking at the market. However, you can look at a pattern similar to this, which isn't as diamondy, but it does show the decrease in the price. And as you can see, the price decreased. It hit that downward trend line and then had a little bit of consolidation, broke over the trend line, tested it as support, tested it again, and then did the reversal back towards the bullish side. We can expect that to be happening for Bitcoin. Ideally, we'd like to see it push up above this downward trend line and then do this consolidation move, and then ultimately start pushing upwards, bringing the rest of the crypto market with it. For those of you in QNT, QNT is starting to hold a little bit of support. As you can see, it's got a little bit of the wicking off going on. This is on the daily. The RSI is starting to get a little bit oversold. However, this does still have potential to move downwards. It's a little bit further away from the 200 EMA than we'd like to see. But with that, we can start seeing that get a little bit of pressure and support right here around the $98 area. For those of you who are trapped way up at the top, definitely do not sell your crypto. If anything, stack more for QNT and do your dollar cost averaging. This will be going up. This is just a shakeout. The bull market is not over. Whether this goes down or up, going back to referencing Ethereum, back whenever COVID happened, way back here. COVID, we had a shakeout, but immediately after that shakeout, it didn't go any lower and just had consolidation slowly pushing upwards, which is what you really like to see in a healthy market. You don't want these fast movements up, fast down. Comparing that to XCN, how it had that massive 2,000% pump and then nearly, I think it was like 80% decrease in price. You see a nice slow movement up, retracement to get near the 200 EMA, consolidation but still moving upwards, push up, test the 200 EMA, pushed up, test 200 EMA, 200 EMA, and it could not break, pushing into the 200 EMA, and ultimately had to go up and up and up. So that's kind of what we're expecting to be happening with quant and the rest of the crypto market. If it does crash, it's going to be a consolidation, nice push upwards. Now is not the time to be selling your crypto. I believe only like 95% of the world is not invested in crypto. So the 5% that are, just hold your bags and you will see the exponential gains happening here in the near future. Compound is trying to hold this sport as well. It is trying to push up over that 200 EMA. If we do see that push, the next stop we want to see is a close above 55.82, But as of right now, it's looking nice, stable consolidation. Depending on what Bitcoin does, if Bitcoin does break that upward trend line, obviously we're going to be more bullish. However, if it does not hold above this black trend line and starts to close a little bit lower, we can expect a further decrease in price. Moving over to GRT. GRT is still trying to hold this trend line there, which is pretty important. I believe GRT is just kind of waiting to get a little bit of consolidation and start moving upwards if Bitcoin does hold its position. XYO trying to shake everybody out in its cup and handle pattern, downward trend. When this holds as support, we could see this black trend line right here holding support and pushing it back up towards this downward trend line. And when this breaks, we can ultimately see that pushing upwards. Torn or tornado cash if you want to wash your Bitcoin or keep your money clean, or anonymous. Very good coin to be investing in. Not financial advice, but we entered in at 750 or 753 roughly, and it has not touched that at all. Still holding nicely above the 200 EMA on the daily, nice at the 50% mark, and the RSI. Volume is steady, but it is increasing in price, and we do mainly just want to see it break this $11 mark before you start throwing your money further into this. It's going to be a quick increase, potential quick decrease, as you see back here when it started pushing upwards in March. But we broke that major downward trend line, so we can start seeing a better push upwards, breaking that $11 mark. This is looking very healthy. I highly recommend getting your bag of Tornado Cash. MEXC reference link, the link below where you can trade Tornado. And when you use that reference link and put in $100, you get a free $20, which you could ultimately use to pay for the signal channel if you wanted to, which are the signals prior to posting these videos. Moving on to Toshi. Toshi is trying to bottom out, getting a double bottom here. When we draw a line for that, you could see here's one and here's the second, and ultimately when you invert this, you could see that looking a little bit better, trying to push this way downwards, which is essentially upwards. So Toshi is looking a little bit stronger and is looking like a more potential buy for this area. Not financial advice again. Also IOTX, we talked about this the other day. It is starting to build some support as well. And also when we invert this, you can see it is wicking out a little bit, meaning there is a lot of selling pressure. Or I guess this would be buying pressure, but getting sold off. And we want to see it hold this black trend line before ultimately starting to push upwards. But you can see back here, back in around August, it started to fickle out, get a little bit of support, and when it got that support, pushed up to the 200 EMA, got rejected, tested it with some consolidation, and then broke that 200 EMA for the push upwards. Inverting that, it looks a lot healthier, holding off this black trend line, so we can ultimately start seeing that push back upwards. It's currently at 2 cents. Its high being around 50 cents. So keeping that in mind, always look into IOTX before it starts to take off. Moving into XRP. XRP, always in consolidation. Definitely stack your bags. This isn't going to be dropping crazily whenever Bitcoin drops. In my expectation, we could be seeing $1.78 if it does drop, but overall XRP is going to be worth a lot of money. Stack your bags for XRP. And then moving on to the last one, everybody's favorite, XCN, still within that downward wedge. You say, Neil, how did you expect that to be a downward wedge and hold support? Well, everybody's kind of expecting that whenever you get into the crypto markets for quite a while. So it did hold this downward wedge, which is very nice to see. Holding some consolidation, pushing up over the 200 EMA, and ultimately we just want to see it break this downward trend line, and we will see a massive pump like we did back whenever it pumped 2,000%, right here. This is more of a bullish pendant, not a downward wedge, but you see right here, January 14th, when that broke, it had that major pump upward towards the 4-cent mark. We are currently at roughly a penny and a half, and the all-time high being 18 cents. We have an absolute rocket ship waiting to explode for XCN. So keep XCN in mind. XCN, XRP, QNT, XYO, and Tornado and Compound actually are the major ones I am looking at to get their first pops. So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you want. And I will see you guys on the next one. Good luck and have fun with it.